Yes, you thought we forgot you, but we didn't. It's the Print Factory show here on a Wednesday. We got ODB in the house. We got Big T right below me here on a Wednesday. So we're going to talk all of the main slate here. So the Sunday games, if you're looking for Thursday content, Saturday content, we will have you covered for that. We'll have the Showdown show tomorrow for Thursday's game, and then we'll have a Saturday show for that 3-game Saturday slate. So pumped for 2 awesome weeks of football. We're going to have football, it feels like, 4 days for the next 2 weeks. So it's going to be an awesome week. Tony is actually the reason we're late. He might be getting a little pup. I heard. I heard ODB. He might be getting a little pup.
We were literally in a meeting. It had nothing to do with a dog.
You're getting a dog.
Tony, they don't need to know that, okay? Before we were in a meeting, where were you?
That was earlier today. I was looking at some things.
Yeah.
He was looking at some things. He was looking at a pup, and then he had to leave because he really wanted to buy it on the spot, but he just had to leave because he had to make sure his wife was okay with it. Who runs the house now, Tony? So it looks like our guy Tony's going to have a little pup running around, ODB. I feel good about it. I think it's going to happen.
Whew. I'm excited to see this new pup.
I'm going to name it ODB too, in honor of the great ODB.
No, I was trying to think of the name. I was thinking something with Kittle or Greg.
You can't name it after your friend.
Taysom.
You can't do that. Taysom.
Tay.
I like that.
Taysom.
It's a girl, right, Tony? It'd be a girl, right?
I mean, we don't have one yet, so
it doesn't matter. You can name every dog, even if it's a boy name. You can just put an E on the end, and it's a girl.
Yeah. It all works nowadays, anyway, so it's fine.
Yeah, exactly. Right. It's a non-gender.
We're going to try not to get into too much bullshit talk because we do have to get through the games here. And so we're going to try and dive right into the games. But again, it was not my fault we were late. It was mainly Tony's fault. So I'll just throw that out there.
Hey, before we get on the main slate, I need Big T to come in on the Cincinnati Minnesota game because I'm helping somebody, advising somebody with a Survivor, and we got a choice between all these 3-point favorites this week, and it's Cincinnati, Indy, Atlanta, Cleveland, and I don't know. I like what this Jake Browning looks like, man. He looks like he's got moxie. I was big on Cincinnati last week. It was my favorite game, and I need to know what the vibes are like there. If Cincinnati's a safe play, a good play, should we be laying the point? Should we be playing them in the Survivor? What's the take here from Cincy land?
Man, I'm always honest, as you know, and I feel like I'm on the wrong side of the Cincy team. Sometimes I'm on the right side of teams. Everyone around here is super positive about the Bengals. Everyone's high. Both games, they were really good. And Minnesota is, like we talked about, changing quarterbacks again, going with Bum, whatever his name is. What's his name?
Mullins.
So, I feel like Minnesota's going the other direction. They just played a horrendous game on Sunday, and yet the spread still comes out 3. I just feel I'm the wrong person to ask. I wish I could give you a good answer because I feel like since he's a pretty square play, but I'm also I don't feel like I have a good feel for this team right now. So
I feel like this is one of those plays where ODB just comes in and says, normally ODB just comes in and says, Tony, what are we doing? We just got to take the Bengals in this spot. Like it
feels that way for sure. I just don't understand why the spread's only 3.
It feels like it should be a little higher, but
I just don't even get it. They're trading quarterbacks. They've looked terrible. I will say Minnesota's defense, because I wanted to get the flow chart totally updated this week before this show, and I did. And one of the things that totally surprised me was Minnesota's defense has been way better than I thought. Like, they haven't given up a top 10 quarterback since week 3. And they just have been way, way better than I thought. So I'll just throw that out there. I don't have a good feel for this game.
That's my biggest concern with the game is, like, I like Cincinnati. I really like what they've been doing. I've been listening to some things on this Browning kid. seems like he just went into the lab. He's like the ultimate worker. He just seems like he's set himself up for this. But the last 2 weeks, he hasn't really gotten a lot of pressure on him. And Minnesota's #1 in pressure rate, and so that's kind of like the biggest concern is for me is how does he handle the pressure that Minnesota's generating?
So I know a couple games ago they did something different where there was a couple games ago he was getting sacked, he was getting hit, and they said it after they're pretty much just leaving him the 5 blockers in there and not really chipping or helping with running backs and tight ends. And you saw 2 weeks ago they pretty much exclusively on like long situations, long downs, they were leaving a 6 blocker in there, whether it be a tight end or running back or both sometimes in there to just help the blitz because he was struggling with the pressure a ton. And so they did that and it really helped him. And that was the game. That was the first game where he started to get that rhythm and he had that monster performance. Everyone was like, oh, wow, this kid's pretty good. Because when you give him time and you give his receivers time to run their routes, the receivers are good enough to win one-on-one on the outside. And he's good enough to set and throw. And that's what we saw in that first game where everyone was like, oh, I can't remember who they played, but Jacksonville. Thank you. And everyone was on Jacksonville. And that was the difference in that game from the game before that, where he was getting pressured. He was getting sacked. They didn't know what to do. They went back. They figured it out. We got to keep this guy upright. And that's what they did. So, I mean, the pressure could definitely get to him. They have a high pressure rate, like you said. But I think since he's figured some things out, they've been doing the screen games a lot more too. If you notice, the screen game was heavily in play last week, getting the ball out of his hands. I think they've figured it out. I think they've really figured out ways to help this guy have success. So, yeah, I mean, I get the Minnesota's D's good, but man, I don't know how you don't run.
It's just straight matchups though. So hold on, how do I share my screen?
Don't hold on. Oh, damn it. There you go.
So hold on, how do I enlarge it? So it's all done. So like Cincinnati, like as far as Minnesota, like they have the second best defense. Like according to my numbers, boom. And the Minnesota's best attribute on offense too is tight end, obviously with Hawkinson, and the Bengals just get destroyed by tight ends. So just 2 key matchups clearly face Minnesota to me. I don't know, just one thing to look at as far as that, but a lot of green in the Minnesota column.
Yeah, I mean, definitely Hawkinson has a great matchup. I mean, that's that I believe.
What I mean, what happened with Dobbs? We talked about it last week. I think I made a joke like, man, he's been good, had one bad game, and they're going to pull him. And then 1 week later, they do pull him because he was horrible.
Crazy. I mean, he was awful. He was so awful. It's crazy. How do you go from like being good, competent, and then you learn the system and you just fall apart? I mean, it was just weird. It's so weird.
Doesn't fit him.
Arizona a little too, right? Like the beginning of the year, at times he was really
he was
good.
fine. Yeah, that whole collapse. Like you went from media darling, like everything, and was running this offense, and then all of a sudden we're a game and a half later, and the guy's done. So I don't know, it's weird.
What are they saying about soft ass Jefferson?
He got like better weapons too. He like came over to
that's weird.
Got better skill position.
What are they saying about soft ass Jefferson?
They said that the quarterback almost got him killed.
He killed him. I mean, he freaking killed the lineups on Sunday. I know that. Yeah, for this week though, is he out or is he like? What are they saying?
I don't know if he's gonna play. I don't think he's gonna play, but he went to the hospital after that. That injury. Like, I don't know. I mean, Justin Jefferson, I see this 15 minutes ago, ESPN reported they expect him to play against the Bengals. So that's
I kind of like Minnesota. I'll say it. I kind of like Minnesota, but I've also been on the wrong side of Cincinnati. So I'm honest about that part. I don't have a good feel. I kind of like Minnesota though.
Yeah, you stayed away from you. They've thrown you off the last two.
They have. I'll admit it. Like I really liked Indy last week too versus them, and they kicked their ass. So like I just,
yeah, that was a thorough beatdown. I mean, the score wasn't even indicative of how bad they beat them.
I mean, even the score was a pretty big beatdown, wasn't it? They pounded.
Yeah, it was 21. They beat them by 21, and it really wasn't even that close. They were up 14-0, and then all of a sudden, like they had this like freak turnover.
The weird
touchdown,
pick six was what it like took it out of the guy's hand and went to the house.
Yeah, and then next thing you know, they're back up by 21. Anyway, all right. I didn't mean to get us so sidetracked early on that.
Who's the other options for Survivor?
We got
Kansas City, got the Patriots.
Well, we can't play them. The other ones are the Falcons, the Browns, and Indy, but probably the Falcons or the Browns.
The Browns get the Bears at home. Falcons get the Panthers in Carolina.
Yeah, those are kind of the three spots. So,
who is it? Atlanta, Cleveland, and who?
The Bengals. Oh, Indy. But I think that's the worst of the options. Indy versus Pittsburgh.
Yeah, those are tough options.
Yeah, no shit. He backed
all the way around. Those are tough. I'm looking at all four of them, and I'm like, ooh.
Yeah, man. I know. It's not a good week. He backed himself in a corner, but
our Bears, you can't go against our Bears. That's our squad.
I think you got to go Falcons or Bengals.
Yeah, we got to go Falcons. I'm putting my vote for Falcons.
Ooh.
Carolina's the worst team. We got to go against the worst team when push comes to shove.
Oof.
Yeah, I know. It's close. All right, we can move on with the regular show.
All right, let's go to the first game on the Sunday slate here. We got the Chiefs and the Patriots here, 9.5 point spread. Chiefs obviously favored in New England. 37 is the total in this game. So we've got a Chiefs team that's been crying and a Patriots team that has been struggling for most of the year, but is coming off a dub, even though they really tried to not win that game for the entire second half of that game, where they did not throw the ball down the field at all, which was one of the things that they had success with in the first half. Now they get the Chiefs, and the Chiefs are coming off. I'm sure they're going to be pissed. You know what I mean? They were crying for the last 2 days. It's a 9.5 point spread, though. We're a Chiefs hating show. One team doesn't want to win. One team does want to win. I don't know. Is this Chiefs or pass, ODB?
Which is the team that doesn't want to win?
The Patriots?
The Patriots wanted to win on Thursday.
They did not want to win on Thursday. They didn't let Zappe throw the ball downfield at all in that second half. I don't care what anyone says. That's like tanking without trying. That's like tanking without it being like totally obvious. Yeah, my father-in-law even texted me saying, now I see what you're talking about. The Patriots don't want to win. They didn't let Zappe throw the ball down the field at all in the second half.
Isn't that the best way for them not to win?
I don't know, because they were having
for them
success.
In
the first
I don't
half.
know. I mean, this game, we all know I hate the Chiefs and think the Chiefs suck.
Your gif still is my favorite gif of the year, though, with the dancing guys and all of us.
That's great. I mean, it's been a hell of a month for the Chiefs hater show. Somehow AP like he doesn't nearly tweet as me as much as he used to. It's weird how that works.
It's because he knows. Even the Chiefs fans know. They're starting to. DC's dropping the Chiefs he's not even a fan of the Chiefs anymore. I think he burned his hat, Tony.
I mean, you should basically just get rid of all your Chiefs fandom. That was absolutely embarrassing. Embarrassing. Patrick Mahomes, what an embarrassment. I mean, finally showed his true colors when everything didn't go his way. I mean, give me a fucking break.
I agree with you too. That was embarrassing.
I mean, that was peak embarrassment for.
He's got every call for like 8 years too.
He's gotten every call, and not only that, but he acts like the touchdown happened, and then the refs came in and discussed it and threw a late flag. Like if you watch the play, the flag is the guy literally throws the flag like 5 miles in the air, like at the snap, because he was all ready to do it. If that would have fallen incomplete, they wouldn't have said anything. Like it's just okay, great. That sometimes you get a free roll on offense or defense when a guy has a penalty, and yeah, great. You had a great play on a meaningless play. It was meaningless from the snap. So stop your
But
bitching.
ODB, they
What a
took
bunch
away
of
from
babies.
greatness. They took away from
I
greatness, he
mean,
said.
greatness. But they don't call that play. Well, they literally called it, and they called it before you even had the ball in your hand. So, like, oh, he's such an embarrassment. I hate Mahomes. I hate Kelsey. What a bunch of fucking babies. I
I
hope
mean,
they.
even Andy Reid was bitching about it.
And
Like,
how
I've been
good.
coaching for this long, and they don't call this, and blah blah. I'm like, dude, the entire body of your man was offsides. Like, his foot was over the line. Like, you saw the picture.
I mean, whether it
Of
was close, whether it was not, is just
wasn't.
completely irrelevant to the fact that the flag was thrown before the play made. Like, how big a cheating would it have been if they picked up the flag and go, well, that was such a great play. He was close. We're just going to let this one go. I
Yeah.
mean, what the fuck is that shit? And I mean, how good do the Chiefs run? Every quarterback gets killed in the AFC. Now Tyreek gets killed, and Miami was going to have like a home game, and now they might not. Now Kansas City has a better chance at a home field. I mean, they just walk on water, and they just expect, and they won the Super Bowl on the most ticky-tack call of all time.
Talk
So,
about a few dusty
No,
games. I'll be back in a minute.
2
Yeah,
ticky
go.
tack calls. Don't you remember the Bengals game, ODB, where Pat Mahomes
Exactly.
did this
Back.
skirting on the sideline, and they got it was a foul. I hate that he does it, and guys will blow him up, but it was a foul. They called it. They kicked the field goal, and they won, right, ODB? But they
For
won
sure.
on a flag, and then they win the friggin' Super Bowl on a flag. Like, they win on flags. And then they want to cry because they don't get a flag or they want them to pick up a flag. Like,
Just the best part was, why you can't be throwing that in the last minute of the game, and it's like, oh wait, the last minute of the game, that's where you got both of your flags in the AFC Championship and the Super Bowl. Like, I mean, they just won it all their way.
yeah,
That
and you
being
can't
said,
have
though,
it both ways. I mean,
yeah,
can you give the Super Bowl back? Because I'm sure the Eagles will take the Super Bowl win if you want to give it to them, and you can have your win in the regular season back. Like, it just doesn't work that way. Like, the
no,
Super Bowl happened, you won on a flag. Just accept you lost on, and they didn't even lose on a flag. This is what pisses me off. They still had multiple chances after that play to redeem and win the game. They had plenty of time on the clock, ODB. They weren't like, it wasn't one of those things where they didn't have much time. They had time. They had chances, and they failed. You failed multiple times. Kadarius Toney was offsides. Live with it and move on.
yeah, I mean, not to mention that the guy who was offsides is the guy who was downfield that caught the pitch back.
Yep.
That scored the touchdown.
Yep.
So I don't know.
I mean, it was a flag. It's a flag either way. Like, it's clearly a flag. And I don't know how, even they admitted it was a flag. They just didn't like that it was called at that time because the play was a touchdown and they took away from greatness. And that's just complete bullshit.
Yeah, they're just, their revisionist history is just absolutely insane. Like, and from a team that has been on the plus side of so many of those, for them just to, but I kind of like it because, all this time, all I've been hearing is like, why do you hate on the Chiefs? Why do you hate on Mahomes? He's such a nice guy. He's such this. And it just exposed what baby they are. And I just love it because now some more people are anti-Chiefs with us. So that's great.
they're coming over to the bandwagon. If they weren't aboard, they're starting to crawl on now. So I like it too. What do you think for this game? Are you
So I mean, I disrespect the Chiefs' weapons. I don't really like them offensively at all. But I think the defense might just be able to wreck this game for Zappy. I mean, they looked good in that first half against Pittsburgh, but I'm just going to look at the bigger, just the bigger workload that the Patriots, or the biggest, whatever the Patriots have shown us over the last 2 months versus what they showed us in one half of football. I mean, we know Zeke is washed. We know Zappy stinks. We know they have, I mean, you want to talk about no weapons. We think the Chiefs have no weapons. I mean, the Patriots have no weapons. The Patriots are the worst weapon team in football. And the Chiefs have a really good defense. So I think that this might just be a statement fuck you game to everybody. I mean, if there's ever a time to go out there and just slap around a bad team, like, this is a spot. And I know it's in New England, and I know actually the fans might actually be on, might jump on Mahomes because they're all Brady lovers up there, and they don't like the fact that people think Mahomes is better than Brady and all that stuff. So the fans might actually be into it more than they would have been normally, but I don't know. This just seems like the Chiefs come to town and just kind of find a way. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
I
think the
feel like the
defense can
Chiefs
score enough.
cover here. I feel like
Yeah.
they win by 20 plus. I don't know how they don't. I think this is a spot where Andy Reid, they figure out they put points up on the board, and the Patriots in the end just don't have enough. I mean, like you saw it, like they just don't have enough in the end to be competitive with. We don't like the Chiefs, but they're still a much better team than the Patriots. Like that's how far down the list the Patriots are. And I just feel like this is a spot where they just come in and absolutely crush this Patriots team.
Yeah, and also the defense. I mean, we've been talking about how good the Chiefs defense is for a long time. Like that's really how they've managed to save this season. I mean,
Yeah.
we all know that the Chiefs offense, but the Patriots might not score. I mean, I don't know what the total is, or on Patriots
30.
points, but
Oh, Patriots. I know the total's 37, but Patriots team total, you mean?
is it like 10.5 or something?
Yeah,
Like,
gotta be something like that.
I mean, I think there's a very good chance the Patriots will not score in this football game. So yeah, I kind of like the Chiefs. Just yeah, this seems like a really just a great spot for the Chiefs. And I know the Pats defense has been good, but what have they been good versus? They've been good versus the Colts. They've been good versus the Chargers, who kind of gave up. They were good versus the Steelers with Trubisky. I mean, they haven't played like a real team or a real quarterback. I mean, yeah, Herbert's a real quarterback, but I mean, this team obviously quit on itself. So I got this stupid fruit fly coming around here.
Oh, so annoying. All right, let's go to another game. We got the Jets and the Dolphins, 8.5 point spread. 37 total. Dolphins obviously favorite in Miami against the Jets, who came on strong last game, and they put it to Zach Wilson. I still, for the life of me, will never understand why he got benched for Tim Boyle. I don't get why you would do this to this kid for a guy who clearly should not be playing in the NFL and Tim Boyle. And then Zach comes back and does what he does, and they get a good win, ODB. And really, it just makes me think, like, how bad is Saleh? It's got, like, what are they doing, like, as a coaching staff to think that?
Yeah, I mean, I've been riding this Jets narrative for a while that it's Saleh's fault, and if he wasn't a charismatic guy, he would have been fired. I mean, I think Zach Wilson, I think he's got better days ahead of him, and I kind of like him, and I kind of like his grit here, and he came back and he beat a good Texans team. I mean, granted, they knocked CJ out, but the reality is when you bet on the Jets, you're mostly betting on their defense, and the defense came to play, and they put them in position to win, and then the offense got a little rolling, and yeah, I mean, I like this. I like the Jets team kind of. The Dolphins.
Wait, hold on. Before I Brad Moore, Wilson shouldn't either, though. I mean, listen, there's bad quarterback play. I understand. Zach Wilson's not the best quarterback. But let's just compare. I'm talking about guys that shouldn't actually be in the NFL, Tim Boyle, and then Zach Wilson, who, I mean, give me backup quarterbacks. He's a backup quarterback. Now tell me he couldn't be a backup quarterback for another team. I think that's a ridiculous statement. And backup quarterbacks at times need to come in and play when their starters go down. Aaron Rodgers goes down, Zach Wilson comes in. I'm not saying Zach Wilson should be the, star player, star quarterback for a team. They should pay him all this money, but he is definitely a backup quarterback. I mean, that's no doubt in my mind.
He has the skill set to be a starting quarterback. The reality is we make our minds up on these quarterbacks way too early, and coaching has a lot to do with it. He has a defensive minded coach. He has Nathaniel Hackett as his offensive coordinator, who is obviously atrocious. we just sometimes it takes guys a little bit longer to process it, but he does exhibit some good skills out there at times, and that's kind of what let's see him with Sean McVay or Kevin O'Connell or Eric Bieniemy or just some other spot where they're teaching him how to process. I mean, this kid's just been jerked around from day one. I mean, New York is a very, very tough place to play. And he goes in
Very
there and
tough.
he gets jerked in, jerked out of the lineup. Then it's like, but they said you're going to sit and learn behind Rodgers, and he gets thrown into the first game. Like he's never really had like,
I
the
mean,
perfect
listen,
setup.
I think you definitely are a little higher on him than me. My whole point, though, is you can't say the guy shouldn't be in the NFL. I like, you know what I mean? Like, you can't do that. I mean, Brian Hoyer was in the NFL for a very long time as a backup quarterback. There's some that didn't really want to play at a certain point in his career. He just wanted to like hold the clipboard, make a check. Like there's backup quarterbacks out there.
I mean, Easton Stick is about ready to take snaps in the NFL. I think Zach Wilson's going to be in the league for a little while.
Yeah, that's what I mean. We're always going to need backup quarterbacks. He's not the best, but should he be in the NFL? He definitely should be in the NFL. He's just inconsistent. I think everything ODB said was right on the board, but mainly what he said was like he has decent moments where you're like, oh, wow, that was a good throw. That was nice. That was a good play made. And then he's got plays where you're just like, what the fuck is he doing? I don't understand what he's looking at. So, yeah, people get frustrated with him. He's in a spot that New York Jets is tough media to handle, everything like that. But I just think we make our minds up too soon.
What do we think about this week, like versus the Dolphins? Dolphins coming off of that tough loss, and I would have liked the Jets a little bit more had they not just blown that game against the Titans. But now they have to get completely focused up again, where they might have just been a little bit rested on their laurels. I'm a little scared. I mean, I've been bigger on the Jets than market, so I've been finding myself playing them a little bit too much. But I think I think their defense can keep it close.
There looks like there could be some weather in that game, some rain, and then some good winds apparently in Miami. I'm seeing right now, it could be pretty high winds and some gusts up to 30, 35. If there is like type of weather like winds like that where it's like that and it's like actually going to make a difference in the game, I think it would affect to a shitload, because Mike McDaniel's offense is all timing-based routes where Tua has to get the ball in these small windows to guys like Hill, who's also injured, and Waddle and all these guys. And if there's something that's going to affect that, and think about it, Tua already throws a floater almost every time he drops back. He throws those floating passes. Even check down, he floats the ball. What's he going to do if there's like wind? And wind is like affecting the ball a little bit. Like Tua's going to struggle in that environment. So I'm definitely taking the 8.5 with the Jets.
Is Hill play?
I would assume he tries to play, but I think they said something how he was. You think he's going to be out?
I would think you play. I mean, he came back in the game, so I mean,
yeah, that's
came
what
back
I'm
in
thinking.
the game.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking he plays.
His pricing on DraftKings is absurd. Like it's like 9,900 against Sauce Gardner. I mean, this isn't the Tennessee defense. I mean, what is this pricing for him?
I mean, he's just been so good, but I do think this is a spot where you can just stay away 100%.
I mean, this is going to be a spot he's not even going to be owned. So, like, I mean, you could probably get a little funky with Contrarian. I mean, I'm not doing it but 9,900 for Hill, I can't versus Sauce. I can't imagine him being owned at all. The Jets are not very good versus the run, so I don't know. Is there what's been the Mostert A-Chain? Has A-Chain has he been really relevant since he's come back?
He's been relevant, but I will say in key spots like against Tennessee down the stretch in the fourth quarter, Mostert was getting all the big carries. A-Chain was playing that like third down role a lot towards the end of the game. And like if they needed like the hurry up offense, obvious passing downs he was in there. So, I mean, Achan's role is not terrible, but he's not getting like those goal line carries.
Mostert's been really good, and the Jets are a run funnel. So I think Mostert has a little bit of appeal, and I don't know if Garrett's price went up, but I mean now that we think, I mean 5,800 for one of the top 10 skill wise guys in the NFL's not too bad, but weather obviously could be an issue.
Yeah, like it seems like weather could be an issue. I like the Mostert call though. I think Mostert or Achane is in play because you still get the upside from both those guys. Obviously on a main slate, I would pick one of them, but I mean, I will say Tyreek Hill, he's one of those guys that matchup. I mean, he did dust this New York Jets team for 28 and 100 yards on a touchdown. And, can you do that again? Yeah, but he's 9,900. So, and I don't think he has like the 40 burger where you're like pissed you didn't play him. Like he could still put up 25 though. He's always that type of receiver. It doesn't really matter the matchup. He's just that good, honestly. That's why, in my opinion, I think he's the most valuable player in the league to their team. And when you take him off the field, you saw how bad Miami was.
Yeah, I definitely think Hill is the MVP.
Yeah. All right. Well, my play is the Jets in this game. I like them plus 8.5.
I would lean that way. I would lean that way as well.
Yeah, I think that's a good spot. And honestly, I could see the under. Like even 37, I could see this game being low scoring with these guys. If the weather's bad like that, I could see Jets cover in the under here. This game ends like, I don't know, 10-13 or something like that. I could literally see that. So I kind of like the under as well. Let's go to the Giants and the Saints here. 6-point spread. Saints are favored in New Orleans against the Giants in a 37.5 total. Giants coming off a huge win. I can't believe that Tommy DeVito is pulling out these big major wins. He didn't play like amazing, but he played good enough for his team to win. And I thought Green Bay played horrible. So it was like two sides of a coin where I thought the team Green Bay was clearly a better team, but they played awful and deserved to lose that game. And the Giants found a way to win the game. And that's what it came down to, even when Saquon fumbled. Like if Saquon doesn't fumble, that's a completely different game in the end, where they don't even have a chance, ODB. But he fumbled and they got a chance and they still lost. So all credit to the Giants. I did not see that coming. So I was definitely wrong on that game.
Yeah, I had the Giants, and I thought the Giants had a good chance to win that game. I was very right on that one, which was nice. A nice way to finish off the week. Ended up being a big game for us, for me personally. I kind of like what the Giants are doing. Like you said, if Barkley doesn't fumble that ball, but I mean, whatever. That game was just weird. There were a lot of turnovers. They both had fumbled punts, but I mean, Barkley's just he's just trying to basically go down and stay in bounds. Normally, he just would just take a right turn and go out of bounds there, but he was trying to keep the clock going, kind of tripped over his own feet. And then the Packers guys tried to avoid him, which was weird, instead of just touching him down. It was almost like
I don't know how they both jumped over him to avoid him. That was pretty impressive, honestly.
Yeah, but why? Why are they doing that?
I have no idea. I have no idea. Maybe they thought he stumbled because he was down. Like they didn't realize. Maybe they didn't realize that he tripped on his own. Maybe they figured he just tripped because someone tackled him and didn't realize it, honestly.
This line's kind of confusing to me because it's going up as the Giants look better. Now all of a sudden the market's coming in heavy on the Saints. I mean, imagine what this line would have been like if the Giants looked bad. The Giants, I mean, I don't really understand how you can give this Carolina team the same amount of points in this same spot versus New Orleans. As far as I'm concerned, the Giants are much better than Carolina right now. The Giants are actually trying. They're motivated. They're rallying behind. And at this time of year, that's the most important thing is to when you're dealing with bad teams is what teams have motivation and what teams don't. Just like the Chargers, for instance. I think the Chargers have completely quit on their coach in their season. So I would not be looking to, I'm going to be looking to fade the Chargers down the stretch. The Giants, on the other hand, they seem to be rallying behind their quarterback and their coach. You saw how much Barkley loved him, and the team just rallied behind him. The fans are behind him. Meanwhile, the Saints team is they're just, when they win in spite of themselves, and when they lose, they just lose. I don't think this team is good enough to be laying this many points to a good defense and a capable offense. I think 6 points is just too much here. I'm going to take the Giants. I don't see this as a walkover. I did take the Saints last week versus Carolina, and I mean, I didn't love it for most of the game. They ended up, the score looked like they crushed them, but I mean, Carolina is just a next level bad. I mean, I'm not picking Carolina to beat anybody. The Giants just beat a team that beat Kansas City and Detroit in back-to-back weeks, and they thumped them both. And this Giants team beat them. I mean, yeah, there were freak turnovers, but there were freak turnovers both ways. So I think, and it was a national game. So, I mean, for the Packers, if you want to say the Packers overlooked them, I think that's kind of wrong. I mean, it was a national game. They shouldn't be overlooking teams or the Packers.
I don't think they overlooked them. I think they just played horrible and got beat.
Yeah. So I think this is too many points. I'm going to lean into the points here. And I definitely think the Saints are going to win this game, or should win this game, but I don't think that they're that. I don't think it's a lock. And I do see somebody else here. I took a quick so when I looked at DFS, one of the first things I look at is defenses and try to figure out where I'm going to want to spend on defense. And I see who's the cheapest defense I'm comfortable with, so I can kind of get an idea if I need to save some for defense or whatever. And the Giants were the one that I kind of found as the shortest price defense I would feel comfortable with. I feel definitely comfortable with the Giants at 2,700. I see Al talking about it in the chat. So I just wanted to throw that out there, that Derek Carr, you can always play against Derek Carr.
Yeah. And they're aggressive too at times. They play aggressively on defense. So I like that call for sure. Last week we were definitely on it with the Bears, and that cheap price tag of the Bears, saying they were one of the top defenses at that price tag, and they crushed. I think they had 14, and they were one of the cheapest defenses on the board. So Giants.
Do you like anything else from them?
I mean,
like anything from this game?
I think that the Giants are the side. Honestly, I could see both New York teams this week winning. Literally,
I had them
I
both
can see
winning
the
last
Jets
week. That was
and
nice.
the Giants winning, because the Saints. I mean, first of all, I feel like they always play kind of even when they win, they're not just dominating teams, right? And the Giants have just found ways to stay in games recently, and they're building momentum, and you can kind of see it. And the fan base is rallying around it, and everyone's kind of into it. I think 6 is too many, like you said. So yeah, I'm definitely on the Giants with you. I don't trust Carr. That guy gets injured all the time too now. I mean, ribs, concussion, every game it feels like he's going down on a bad hit, and he just makes bad plays too. So yeah, I like the way the Giants are playing. I'm going to roll with them. Can't do the Saints. For DFS though, I mean, Saquon at 7,300 seems like a cheap price for someone who's getting 25 touches a game.
Yeah, I mean, he's the same price as Mostert and Achane, and he's getting 100% of the work instead of 40 to 60, depending on which one you choose. So
yeah, look, we got the Prez to join us here. ODB, Prez is on with us.
Who is that? I don't even know this.
Who's this? Who's that?
This guy is the boss. He's the Prez, and then this guy's the other boss, man. And he's back. So, Prez,
how
what's
in the
going
world
on, man?
do I come back and the freaking? Did you guys finally meet each other over here and over?
No, I don't even know who this guy is.
Nope. Yeah. Don't know him. I don't even see him. There's 3 people here.
Never heard of him.
There's 3 people here.
How the hell did the Prez get on this thing? What did I miss?
They're trying to save it.
It was dying without you, Big T.
It was dying. No, I was going to say quickly, because I got to leave for a meeting. I was going to say, ODB, hello. Secondly,
nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Do you think that have you done the Green Bay game yet?
No, we haven't gotten there yet.
Green Bay this week? No, I have not.
Okay, I think based on New York's win last week, and I don't know if I'll carry this into Sunday, but check the Green Bay pricing on Jordan Love at low 6s, and they're still getting Dobbs, I think, in the 4s against Tampa Bay, the Bucs at home. I think that's
you just said the best flow chart spot of the week,
and the biggest, at least first glance, misprice.
That's the dream spot right there.
Brought to you by Supercuts.
Are we going to get ODB to the March party this year? Do you think?
Absolutely.
Wiley? Do you think he'll leave the lagoon of Las Vegas?
I don't know.
I was just going to guess his geography based on the tree in the background.
Watch some hoops. You're not allowed in the card game because there's only amateurs in the card game, but you can sit back and have some drinks while other people play.
I get in any card game I want.
Yeah, tell him, ODB.
There's no card game they keep.
You will like this card game, I promise you.
Yeah, you will. ODB, I might be able to find one I can beat. I don't play cards, bro, and I'm telling you, I sat down one night and I was there till 3 a.m. because I just kept winning. So this card game will be very lucrative for you. I'm telling you that right now. I give
you guys my DFS money. I need some poker money in return.
You would take my money, and I'm telling you, this is easy money.
I've got to go.
Thanks for joining us, Chris.
Good seeing you, brother.
Tony's back. Hey, did you get your dog yet?
I have not. Thank you for asking.
Boo. Damn it. I thought he was going to come back with the dog, people. I really thought so.
I was literally picking up my
Instead, he came back with his 3 kids. You know, what are you going to do?
2 of them, actually. One of them had a club or something.
All right, 2 of them. So, all right, Tony.
How did you get the prez on? He hopped on?
Yeah,
he just hopped on. He saw us flailing here without you and decided to try to come save us.
Yeah, we needed.
There's just so much we can talk about. We talked about the Jets and the Giants for fucking 30 minutes.
Oh God, I'm glad you guys talked about that one.
Yeah, we talked about the Patriots, the Jets and Dolphins, and the Giants and Saints.
You guys are 3 games in that whole time I was gone.
We're trying to stall for you. I mean, Jesus Christ, you're the star of the show.
We wanted to make sure you got your take. Is there any game where you have like a strong take on any of those games, Tony?
So you talked.
I'm fine going by it if you don't have.
No, I don't. Definitely don't have a take on that one. What other one? Dolphins, Jets.
Yes.
Man, what's the spread in that game?
8.5. I love the Jets. I think ODB leaned that way. Jets. Yes. And just so you know, there's supposed to be a high winds in that game and rain.
Yeah, I mean 37.5 so a low total, but I mean it's in Miami, right?
Yeah, I'm telling you, the weather's supposed to be ugly.
How the hell can there be high winds in that stadium? It's like
I'm just telling you what I'm seeing.
But it's enclosed.
No, it's not.
The hell it isn't. I've been there. Miami.
It's open air, isn't it?
Up top, but like it can't be. I mean, it can't be that windy in there.
Oh, because it kind of goes up and.
I act like I'm some meteorologist, anyways. Listen to me. All I know is
the weather's fucking nonsense. Anyway, Baltimore Rams was supposed to be like this.
Yeah, that is true. That game was
bullshit.
Ridiculous. Why do the Rams play in so many high? The Rams just seem like they play in a lot of like high scoring games.
Yeah, well, wait till this week.
The Rams are better than people think. Like they have a lot of good players.
This is actually, Terry, I don't give you credit very often, but this is one of your better takes. I agree. I'm not a weatherman.
I just said about myself for the record. As I was giving like a weather take, I realized that what I was saying was nonsense. So I just backed away from
All I know is if there's bad weather, Tua floats balls like no other in good weather. So what do you think he's going to do if there's bad weather? That's all I'm saying.
I don't have any takes. I definitely don't have a take about New England, Kansas City either. So.
Okay, cool. So we're on to a game you will have a take on. And I saved this game because I'm a great host. The Bears and the Browns, 3-point spread. Browns are favored in Cleveland, 37.5 total. You got 2 teams that have been playing well. That you know what I mean? The Cleveland Browns with Joe Flacco, they've kept him upright, and he's been slinging the ball good and good enough for these guys to have big games. David Njoku had a monster game last time. And the Bears have been awesome. I like the Montez Sweat trade, Tony, might look like one of the better trades of the entire year for any team with how good they've played since that trade. And I don't know if it's just him, but it feels like since that trade, the defense has just been different. And that's got to be somewhat him to me. So what do you think of this Bears team? I know you're high on it, and Cleveland, because you're high on Cleveland as well.
Man, the Bears are just huge for all three of us, and I like them. I like how they look. Problem is, I definitely don't love the matchup, which is bad news for us in the 50K too, because I do like the Bears and the Browns D. I mean, I don't see how there can be points in this game, which is bad news for us for sure. I do like the Bears catching points against a guy like Flacco. I do kind of like the Bears at +3, but man, the points, I do not see points in this game. I definitely like the under with Cleveland, Chicago. So bad news for the 50K, but I think it's a pretty easy bet, honestly. I don't really see how this game can go over the total, 37.5. The weather, I'm sure, won't be great in Cleveland on Sunday. Another weather take, by the way, from a non-weather man. But fantasy-wise,
the weather's actually not bad, Tony, by the way.
That's good.
Not that I say. Yeah.
Both defenses are good, though, and I just don't see a ton of points. So for me, it's just going to be the under. I mean, I'm looking at these prices. All the prices feel somewhat fair. I mean, the good part about Fields, he can always break a slate with his running ability. Man, though, the Browns D bounced back nicely last week from their bad game. I was wrong about that. I thought the Browns D would be a little bit of a letdown, but Flacco's honestly energized them a little bit, which is crazy to me. I can't believe he has, but he's energized them. Even in the post-game speech, if you listen to it, they're energized by him. Like, they're playing for him a little bit, and he's energized. So, like JSU said, they got to keep him upright. That is the hard part, but they got one of the best O-lines in football. So they might be able to do just that. I don't know. I like the under, though. None of these prices look that great to me, so I don't see a ton fantasy-wise.
Yeah, I think the defenses maybe plays, but I don't see much else. ODB, you see anything else here?
I wanted to like the Bears. I've kind of liked the Bears all week. I've been liking the Bears a lot lately. Only thing I really don't like this matchup at all. The Browns play Lamar Jackson twice a year, and I think they play him pretty well. So Fields is kind of a poor man's Lamar. So I don't think, like, when these teams face these guys over and over again, they kind of have a plan. DJ Moore's a little banged up. I think the line is kind of a little bit too much respect almost for the Bears, because we were looking at Jacksonville the same time. Well, not this same time, because they didn't have their quarterback. We didn't think Lawrence was going to play. But once even Lawrence got ruled in, the line didn't go too much below 3. And I think Jacksonville is just a better team altogether than the Bears. The Bears are nice. I like them at home. I like them versus teams that don't really have good Ds, because Fields can really but I think this is a very disciplined D on Cleveland, and they kind of know how to handle this guy. So the more I'm thinking about this game, the more I'm moving to Cleveland, even though, like, I initially started out wanting to like the Bears. But just the whole Lamar Jackson facing them twice a year thing kind of leans me towards the Cleveland way. Fantasy-wise, I don't think there's really any place from this. And this is from a guy who's played DJ and Fields for the last several weeks. So, yeah, that's kind of my take here.
All right, let's go to the next game here. We got the Falcons
and
the Panthers.
That's got to be the first game ever I haven't heard a single word from your mouth about a game. Did you see that, ODB? That's the first time on this show's history that he didn't have a take. He went that quick. Are you trying to
not give a take on this game? Did I not give a take on this game?
I kind of talked about it, and then ODB. I mean, you talked about Flacco standing upright, but that you didn't go into it.
Did I really not give a take on? Okay, my bad. Then I
don't want to start it up. If you don't have no takes, then we.
No.
The good part for our 50K, this is the last, because we got the Cardinals and the Falcons the next 2 weeks, so much better spots the next 2 weeks for the Bears.
All right. Well, one, I thought I said that I like the Bears with the points. I like a lot of dogs this week, honestly. I've liked a lot of dogs so far. I'm sticking with the dog theme here with the Bears. I just think if it's going to be a low-scoring game, which I agree with you, I think this game goes under. I think the Bears can keep it close and kind of hang in with the Browns and make this a ugly, slug-it-out game, two defensive battles. And, listen, the Bears could beat the Browns. I don't think that's crazy. You know what I mean? I think these two teams are, closer than what people would say where they're at right now. Bears have been really good. Like, their defense has been legit. So, and Justin Fields is good enough. Like, he's good enough to hang out in games with Joe Flacco. So, yeah, I like the Bears. I'll take the 3 and move on. But yeah, my bad. Thought I gave a take. Let's go to Atlanta and Carolina. This is what happens when you're third on the show. Sometimes you're the third person in the show. Sometimes you forget to give your take in the beginning and then you move forward. I don't know. I'll give my take here though. This game feels like the easiest game. I don't know how you don't take the Falcons here. I know ODB was talking about it for Survivor for his friend when he was talking about the Bengals, the Falcons. I don't know how we bet the Panthers in any spot right now. They just are terrible. I think this is a Falcon spot all the way. It's got a low total. It's 34. It's a 3-point spread though in Carolina. ODB, are you starting to lean more towards the Falcons than the Bengals, or are you?
These are two teams I just almost never bet. I mean, I hate laying points with Desmond Ridder. I think he sucks, and I hate taking points with Panthers because they're just so bad they can just get blown out. I don't really like this game. I think the line's kind of fair, 3 on the road. I mean, if the Falcons are laying 3 in Carolina and the Panthers are getting 5 to 6 at New Orleans, seems like that those lines are pretty fair. So I don't have a take on this game. I don't like either of these teams at all. Not much for me here.
Tony, what do we like from this game? Are you on the Falcons? Do you like Bijan this week? Where are you at?
So you got two clear spots that Atlanta has the advantages: the running game and the tight ends, both clear-cut advantages. And that's what Atlanta wants to do. They want to run and they want to hit the tight ends, and that's kind of where they've been all year. So whenever the flow chart points to stuff that teams already want to do, I think it's a pretty clear-cut edge. And the more I think about it, the more ODB's got to go with Atlanta and Survivor. The more I think. I know I don't like roads or divisions, but I just think it's the best spot. But it's a 34 total. Carolina's D is a little bit better than people think, and Atlanta likes to play slow, so I don't see a ton of points by any means. Definitely not a great fantasy game. One of the most shocking things of the year for me is Desmond Ridder has been week 14, 15. So there's been 14 weeks. He's been 3 Millie Maker winners, Desmond Ridder. Pretty crazy. A lot of it is his price tag that he's always so cheap. But last week, he drops a 29 piece, and we did like him last week with the passing game. I forget who they even played. Who'd they play?
Drake
Tampa.
London.
Tampa can't stop anyone in the passing game, which I don't think you guys talked about that game. Wiley did for a minute, but Tampa can't stop anyone in the passing game. Ridder lit them up. This week, though, man, 34 total. They want to run the ball. They want to play slow. Carolina's not going to score. Their offense is horrible. So it's another game I like the under, and I like Atlanta. But fantasy-wise, I mean, you got Bijan. What do we got here with Bijan? Bijan is 6'8". You can play Bijan for sure at 6'8", but I don't see him. I mean, Pitts is 4K. I guess those would be the two guys I would even consider at all, Bijan and Pitts.
Yeah, I can't play this game.
I mean, it's a 34 total, so it's definitely not. Mingo should have crushed last week too. Like, he had every opportunity. He got 9 targets and only caught 2, probably because Bryce Young is ass cheeks. But
he's been getting looks.
That's what happens when you stink.
Yeah, when you stink, you catch 2 for 9.
I mean, I like all the spots. I listen to. Oh, here I am frozen again. Can you hear me?
Oh, we can hear you, but you are frozen.
I get frozen
Wait.
like at this point every week.
Just
I'm
sitting
gonna
back.
34 totals due to you.
Yeah, I mean, I think basically, like, every show I listen to, it's like, oh, well, Carolina, should have covered against New Orleans. It's like, no, bad teams don't cover because bad teams don't win because they make stupid mistakes. And, just like MVS has had all these opportunities his whole life and fails multiple times. Like, when you're bad, like, you're going to fail.
If you play your whole career with Aaron Rodgers peak and Mahomes peak and you're not good, I got news for you. What's Wiley do? Checks notes. You suck.
I'm going to shut this down and restart. You guys can continue with this game, though.
Like, isn't that right, though, JSU? Like, if anybody plays with Aaron Rodgers in his peak, Patrick Mahomes in his peak, and doesn't do good, doesn't that just mean you suck? Now you're on mute.
It has to mean
minutes off the show. You guys both take 15. I'll talk about freaking MVS.
That would actually be fair, but it has to be true. It has to be true because the quarterback is. I mean, we've seen great quarterbacks make nobodies into somebody. I mean, Tom Brady did it for years, where they pull guys off the street, and Tom Brady make them look okay. You know what I mean? It's what good quarterbacks do. They make guys better. And so if you can't look okay with Pat Mahomes or Aaron Rodgers in their peak, you ain't doing shit. Like, you're bad. Like, you're just not doing anything. It doesn't matter who's back there. So, or what you're doing, what system you're in at that point, you're just probably really bad. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know how you don't bet the Falcons. I'm going to bet the Falcons here. Seems like a pretty easy game, easy spot. Let's go to, I think, a better game and probably a better game for DFS, even though the total is still not like that high. It's a 42 total, 3.5-point spread. Green Bay is favored in Green Bay. And I don't know the weather. Uncle T, I'm not going to be the weatherman anymore, but I don't know the weather in this game. Could be snowing there for all I know. I don't know, Tony. So we'll see on the weather. But Green Bay's coming off a pretty bad loss. Tampa Bay's coming off. I mean, listen, Tampa's not great at certain things. You can pass on them. Baker Mayfield's not amazing. But they have found ways to be in games and win games. And are they tied for the division right now? Or are they one game back? What is Tampa right now, Tony? Do you know?
I mean, I'm sure they're in there because the whole division is awful. So they're all within like a game of each other. I'm sure they're 6-7 or 5-8.
Hello.
Sounds like 6-7. We got you, ODB. You're back here. So, yeah, they're 6-7. 3 teams actually tied for this division, and then the Panthers are 1-12. You got the Saints, the Falcons, and Tampa, all 6-7. So these are big games for Atlanta, Tampa, and New Orleans this week. These are big games because right now they're all tied. Tampa Bay, Tony, this is a spot, 3.5. Are you going to take them on the road?
I like Green Bay. I think they have clear-cut advantages. Like I said, this is the flow chart spot of the week. You have dominant advantage for Jordan Love, dominant advantages for these wide receivers, and you have dominant price points where Jaden Reed's 4,900, Dobbs is 5,300. Heath, even our boy Heath is 3K. He did drop an easy touchdown, but then he made a good play after that.
He didn't drop it. He got it.
He's got to tuck it, though. I get what you're saying, but he's got to tuck it. I get it. But
I think the touchdown rule is the stupidest fucking rule of all time. That was a touchdown. He got his feet down. How is that not a touchdown? I just don't understand.
Because you got to catch the ball.
He caught it though. He caught it.
I watched it. That was not a touchdown.
And
I actually am on ODB's side too. I'm usually on your side, but I'm not here.
No,
it was
the
not a
rule is
touchdown.
too confusing. The man caught the ball.
He needs 3 steps. He had 2.
This is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. The ball was across the plane. You know how many times, Tony, quarterbacks will jump over the line, push the ball over, and then
But he didn't have possession. You have to have possession. The
He
quarterback
had
has possession.
You literally saw him catch it and put his feet down. They said because he didn't get the third step.
He has the ball and he's going.
Yeah, but he tucks it away. You could still lose it after that.
I agree with what you're saying. I think the catch rule is bad, but
it's the stupidest rule of all time. That was a catch, but because of a technicality where the third step didn't hit,
he got it the next play. Who cares?
And then he made an even better catch the next. But anyways, that doesn't matter anyways, because this is a dominant spot for Green Bay. Green Bay looked bad last week too. On top of it, they come back and they just have the nut spot right here. I mean, Jordan Love, 6,200. I love all these prices for these guys, and it lets you come back with Mike Evans always. You can always play Mike Evans. And actually, I hate this too because, man, A.J. Dillon just tilted me the other night. But you can play the receivers and not have to worry about him. But I just can feel it like it's the perfect receiving spot. And I just know this bastard is going to stick it in me when it's not a good spot. I just have a bad feeling about it, but it's good. And then the Tampa side, Green Bay can't stop pass-catching running backs that can run solid north and south too, and that's exactly what Rachaad White is, who's been good all year. Rachaad White's been one of the most underrated running backs in all of football. So, and his price is up, so we might actually get him lower owned than you would think. He's $7K. I love this is my favorite game of the week for sure, fantasy-wise. The passing game of Green Bay with Rachaad White or Evans if you want, but I like Rachaad White even more. I love it. It's my favorite spot of the week, hands down.
Yeah, the price points. I want to wait and see what happens with Watson and Wicks. I want to see if they return, but the price points on these receivers are just ridiculously cheap. So I don't know how you don't like this spot for Green Bay's passing attack. And then, like you said, Rachaad White's in a pretty good spot. I do think, Tony, for the running backs, Aaron Jones could be back this week. So, and Westlake.
The good thing is it's not that. I mean, Green Bay's running game is ranked dead last for me, which doesn't say much because AJ's been terrible. But they're literally ranked the worst running team in football to me.
And someone said Ann Kraft. I think both tight ends at these cheap price tags are in play. I think and Ancraft are both in play at those cheap price tags. 3K and 3,200 are just so nice when you can plug those guys in. They don't need to do that much. Man, they get you 10. You're pretty happy. You know what I mean? So
my only issue with the tight ends is I just really love the receivers. Like I'd rather play the receivers.
Yeah, but I'm just saying in a full game stack, you can game stack this game up easily. So, ODB, what do you like here?
I mean, from DFS, everything you say makes sense. The Packers, to me, are just kind of tough because they do spread the ball around. So it's not one of those teams that have the condensed. But I mean, their price tag is such that that's what you're getting. That's why you're getting the price discounts because they're not a team like the Raiders or the Chargers or teams that are just condensed. The ball always goes to the same couple people, or the Bucs for that matter. I like Rachaad White a lot. I mean, he's insane right now. I mean, him and Barkley and at 7,000, getting 90% of the looks, those are guys who are just both volume and talent and Barkley not so much environment, but just in general, yeah, I like those guys. I don't really know from the game perspective. I don't think Green Bay's all that they looked in the first couple games. I think they're closer. They're just a high variance team.
Our compadre on the show said they're the third best team in the NFC.
Yeah,
I think they're better than the Lions. I already know they are, and they beat them too to prove it.
They're not better than the Eagles or the Lions, but
they're better than the Lions. And
they might be. I don't know. The Lions,
team,
right? Maybe right now.
The
NFL is just a very up and down.
I love how Tony sneaks it in there.
That's because you were talking it up, and then they lost to the Giants.
I said they're after those three teams.
But love is high variance.
I changed what you said a little bit. I actually didn't mean to, but I did. I didn't mean to.
Sure, he didn't chat. He didn't mean
They
to.
did lose to the Giants.
I told you. I didn't mean to do that, JSU.
I did. I was accurate that they lost to the Giants, though.
They did lose to the Giants. You were.
What about I mean, do you like the Packers in the game? I mean, I don't know. I kind of lean Bucks. It feels kind of like a coin flippy game
I
to me.
definitely like the Packers. Like, I think the Bucks might be. Maybe
I'm not
I
really
know
sure.
they're not
Packers in the
valued.
over.
I think
I like the Packers
I think
in the
people
over.
think they're better than they are. Like they're
I
bad.
think I guess it's just kind of tough because I had a big emotional win on the Bucks and I had a big emotional win on the Giants against the Packers. So I'm kind of like coming off of a nice win in both anti-Packers and plus Bucks. But yeah, maybe this line is way too far. Yeah, I mean, maybe the Packers. I mean, I guess the Packers, people were talking about them being in that next echelon of the NFC. Nobody's ever talked about the Bucks being there. And if the line's only 3, it's telling us Lambeau's kind of a home. I mean, that's a pretty good home field advantage with the Packers versus the Bucks. I mean, it's not necessarily as big versus like the Bears or whatever, but it's definitely a big home field advantage versus a team like the Bucks. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't really have a take from this game. Spread wise, but yeah, everything you guys say from DFS wise makes sense. It's not my favorite game, DFS wise, but I understand why you guys like it.
I mean, I think Jaden Reed at 4,900 is a near lock. If those guys, like if Watson's out again, if Wicks misses, like he's a near lock at that price tag. It's just way too cheap. So, yeah. All right, let's go to the Texans and the Titans here. 3-point spread. The Titans are favored in Tennessee. It's a 38 total in this game. And we got some news, right, for this game. I mean, CJ Stroud, concussion, didn't practice today. I would assume he doesn't play, but then again, I've assumed this for in the last few weeks, guys have just miraculously been like, oh, I passed it. I'm ready to go. Derek Carr. I mean, so maybe he does play. I don't know, but I know this is a big deal for my best ball teams because a lot of the advance rates on these best ball teams are CJ Stroud stacks. A lot of teams that advance to these next rounds. So if you're in best ball and you advance without a Houston stack, you're probably sitting in good shape because they most likely had Tank Dell, CJ Stroud, and Nico Collins. All these guys are hurt, banged up.
Yeah.
So
Schultz too.
Schultz too. Yeah, I forgot about Schultz. So yeah, it's an interesting team if you play in the best ball streets and you advanced and didn't have a Houston stack, which that's got to be tough if you did. But I don't know about you guys. If CJ Stroud doesn't play, what do you think of Davis Mills? We saw him last year. He was competent. He was good enough, I think, to get them through. Can they hang in with Tennessee? I think they can either way. So give us your takes if CJ plays, if he doesn't, ODB.
I mean, I think it's pretty clear by the line that he's not playing. I mean, I can't imagine that this line would be here. There's too many people in the know. So I think Davis Mills stinks. No Tank Dell, probably no Schultz. Nico's questionable. I don't know if he's even trending towards playing. Yeah, I think the Titans at home is a pretty good play. I mean, just in general, like they're usually much better at home. They're a couple stupid block punts away from like even winning another home game. I think they won almost all their home games or covered them at least. I would kind of lean towards the Titans if he doesn't play. I'm definitely not playing Davis Mills. But I mean, if CJ plays, then I mean, obviously you got to take the Texans. I mean, if he plays, then I mean that he's just a difference maker. I mean, this just tells you just a little aside how bad the markets think Bryce Young is. Bryce Young is priced cheaper than Davis Mills. So, I don't know. I just found that funny when I was perusing the
drop right there. Mic drop.
But
I mean, that's pretty bad.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't really have a whole. Whatever. You could play Hopkins. You could play Henry because the Texans are probably going to struggle. And Henry does exploit the Texans a lot. And December, it's kind of Henry weather, but I don't know. Nothing strong here.
Tony, do you have any takes on this Houston team? I mean, ODB feels like with the line, CJ Stroud's probably going to miss. So what's your take on this game?
Yep, I agree exactly what he said. If Stroud's out, which the line definitely says he's out, with Tennessee favored by 3, I like Tennessee, definitely if he's out. If he's in, then I like Houston. So it's really that simple. And I mean, I don't really have like super strong takes on the game. I mean, some of these guys are fine. Even like Hopkins has been pretty good. Derrick Henry's been fine. The guy I like the most is Spears. He looks good. I talked him up on our show on Monday or whenever it was. He was my favorite play in that slate, and he looked freaking good, like real good. So he had 17 points without a touchdown. The problem is if Stroud's out and Tennessee really asserts their will, then he's not going to be as good of a play. So I don't think this is the right week for him, but bookmark.
There's an opportunity cost at running back this week too. There's a lot of good running backs and good spots.
That was going to be my point too, Tony, is I would love him if CJ Stroud was in and Nico, like if you thought they were going to be down, because his role flips when they're losing, right? If you watch that game against Miami, like Derrick Henry towards the end, Derrick Henry wasn't even on the field. Even when they got near the goal line, he was staying in the game. So that like hurry up offense is huge for him when they get down like
on
that.
Those last drives, like so good. But yeah, you guys are right. I mean, I don't have any strong.
Just a note, some cheap receivers for Houston. John Mechie, 3,200. Hutchinson was $3K flat, and those guys saw the big bump with Nico Collins out in the last game, at least, with Noah Brown and Robert Woods. But those guys are at least priced up a little. And it's a good matchup for the passing game. I guess if you think they're going to be losing too and behind, maybe you can take a shot with like a Mechie. I don't know. I might throw some flyers in for DFS though if Nico's out. But you got to wait and see on the Nico Collins news. And I don't know. I feel like I like Davis Mills a little more than ODB. I think he's a little better than ODB's given.
How much is he?
Well, I don't know if I play ODB. I was thinking more like betting Tennessee +3, Houston +3, but I don't know about playing him in DFS. I don't know if I'd play him here, but he's 4,900 if you wanted to play him. So why do you like him, Tony?
No.
Okay. All right, let's move on. Commanders and the Rams, 6.5 spread. Rams are favored in LA. You got a 50.5 total in this game here. And Tony talked about, I thought was going to be his best spot on the flow chart, which was the Rams against the Commanders, but I guess it was Green Bay against Tampa. This has to be one of the next best spots for pass catchers.
As far as the whole
Washington
game, this spot might be better. As far as the whole game atmosphere.
Yeah.
Part of the problem with why it wouldn't be better for my numbers is just because Stafford really hurts the numbers. But the other positions are obviously really good against Washington. It's just the Stafford effect. Like when you see green on my chart, it's good, obviously, because it's top 10. Stafford just will never be in that green category, really. Just doesn't. He's just one of the worst fantasy quarterbacks. He just doesn't give you that much. Even in games he crushes, like he doesn't give you that much.
What about Sam Howell? What about him? How does he rank? Because the Rams,
I think this game for me is an example of a game where you can play all the pieces and just not play the quarterbacks. Like all the pieces are good. Because I don't necessarily – I mean, Sam Howell does just chuck it, though. So that's the advantage where – especially if the Rams are winning. I mean, this dude's going to chuck it all freaking game. So I think, honestly, Sam Howell's in play every single week because of that. I mean, Washington is the number one quarterback spot always because of that. They don't like to run. They're going to be losing. So, yeah, you're probably right. Yeah, I mean, Sam Howell's got to be in play.
It's crazy. Matthew Stafford, he threw 4 touchdown passes against the Arizona Cardinals a couple weeks ago. And he still scored 24 fantasy points. Like, that's probably why your numbers are so skewed the way they are with him as a quarterback, right? He just doesn't hit those like ceiling games as much. But this would be the game, if any, right, Tony, where like he could have the 300 and something yards passing and 4 touchdowns, and maybe he cracks, upper 20s or close to 30, but he has to definitely run pure for that. Like no Kyron ground touchdowns. Like he needs all the air touchdowns. But I do think it's a good game. I think it goes over too. And I think the Rams do cover those 6.5. ODB, what do you like?
Yeah, I think this is the best spot of the week. Now, granted, the Green Bay spot is a lot cheaper. But I mean, I love the Rams skill. I like the Rams stack here. I mean, I know that Stafford is not typically the type of quarterback we like to attack, but Fields has a tough matchup. Allen has a tough matchup. Hurts isn't on the board. Mahomes has a tough matchup. Like the good quarterbacks that you kind of reach for that have like the ceiling games are not in good matchups. This is a perfect weather spot versus a horrible pass defense. You've got Kupp and Puka, who are relatively reasonably priced in the 7Ks. They're not like the 9,000 for CD and Hill and all those guys. And you can double sack Stafford and those two guys pretty easily, I would think. Or if you wanted to single stack them and put if Higbee plays or, that scrub tight end or whatever. I mean, you could also just play one and Kyron as well. Obviously, you don't have the rushing ceiling with Stafford, but this environment should be very, very offensive. Like I said, the weather's great. The Washington secondary is one I always like to try to, go after. Brock Purdy and Desmond Ridder have won Millie Makers. So I don't see why Stafford can't put up those type of performances. We're just not having the ceiling games out of the quarterbacks that we used to have. Kyler's got a tough spot. Fields has a tough spot. Allen has a tough spot. So if you're ever going to be able to get a game where Stafford can compete for, top 5 quarterbacks, this is the week. So I like them. I like the Rams. I like the Rams team. I like their skill position players. Terry McLaurin put up a big 0 last time. So off a bye week, it wouldn't surprise me if it kept his ownership a little bit more under wraps, but he's their clear number 1. But it is the most obvious run back here. So Curtis Samuel will probably be pretty high owned, I imagine, because he's cheap and he's the guys, that kind of fits in salary wise more. But yeah, I really like this game, and I like the Rams, and I like the Rams from DFS.
Yeah, Tony, one of my 555s that advance, I do have a Ram stack, so I'm feeling good about that team going forward. It's got a nice full Rams team ready to go. Our boy Hunter Long went on IR. Yeah. At least he actually got really injured.
I'm so tilted from that. A lot of people won't. LDV will appreciate this because he saw the teams and stuff. But dude gets hurt the first drive, and then that other dude just smashes. Oh, it's literally so tilting to me when that happens. But injuries are part of it.
And people will be like, "Oh, he wasn't playing, or he didn't play," and it's like, no, he got injured right away.
And yeah, you have people like DMing you too, like nice play. It's like, dude, he got injured on the first drive. Stop! Like it's so.
And he was 2,500, and he was going to play the whole game.
And then the other dude who's worse than him crushes. It's just
crushes.
Oh man, it hurt me deep. But yeah.
Tony, you got to take on
Robinson out.
No, I think he's supposed to come back this week.
Oh. Okay.
So he didn't practice today, but I thought he was. I know Rubio
projected.
said it to me.
Usually, when I don't see guys projected, it means they're probably going to miss. But it doesn't mean this early in the week. Who knows? But if he somehow sat, then I would like Washington even more because Gibson's a pass catcher. Dotson's cheap. Samuel's cheap. McLaurin's cheap. I agree with you guys. This is a great spot.
Great spot. Yeah. If Robinson sits, then Gibson is just a total. Smash that button.
Especially as the run back. Like you can stack up, double stack Stafford if you like Stafford, play Gibson and one of these receivers, and man, you're off and running.
You're also fine if you want to go the other way. If you think the Rams are going to get in control, you can. I mean, Kyron is just absolute money, and you could play the Washington stack and Kyron, and just you could even play the Washington stack, Kyron, and the Rams defense, because how like there's a lot of scripts where like the Rams defense just gets a turnover, sacks early, gets a couple of touchdowns, gets on the board, they run Kyron, and then Howell throws for the whole game. Like, I mean, that's a scenario that happens.
Didn't Terry McLaurin talk about how all he did was run cardio for like the whole game 2 weeks ago? I mean, how does this guy not get more than 3 targets here? How does he not get peppered by Sam Howell? Like, he hasn't had a big week in forever, it feels like. This guy needs to have one decent game. Like, he is falling completely.
He doesn't even have a 100-yard game.
I mean,
which is crazy as much stats as Howell's been putting up. He just
I struggle to go to him, but
well, I mean, you struggle because Curtis Samuel's just been better, like more consistent.
And I still love Dotson's upside. I just struggle.
This is the Bieniemy offense. I mean, this is what Patrick Mahomes did. He threw the ball around. Not saying Sam Howell's Patrick Mahomes, but like you would never really feel comfortable playing any receiver with Kansas City and Mahomes because they would just throw the ball to whoever's open. They just have 5 guys running all over the place and just drop back and just throw it. And if you happen to pick the right guy that week, then you just did well. But like he just spreads it around a lot.
Yeah, for sure. All right. A lot of good plays in that game. Let's go to 49ers and the Cardinals here. 12.5-point spread and a 47.5 total here. 49ers coming off the dub. Deebo Samuel's been smashing. His price tag's now up to $7,700 on this slate. You got CMC obviously in a nut spot. Brock Purdy, who's been playing really well. Another 25 burger here. I mean, 6,800 though, so he's not like as cheap as he used to be, but still. And they get an Arizona team. You know what I mean? I don't know how you play or like a ton of guys from Arizona, but San Francisco, it feels like 1 or 2 of these guys smash almost weekly. ODB, I think there's some plays you could pull, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think I'm going to go more balanced this week. I'm just looking at, I like the $7,000 running backs, and I like some of those pretty good receivers that we talked about with the Rams. So I'm thinking I'm going to go more balanced, but I mean, you can never go wrong taking C-Mac. It all depends on what we get for value later. I mean, I'm not really interested in playing these scrub Texan receivers at 3K or whatever. But if there's someone in a good offense that opens up, then yeah, I might reconsider. But I'm probably more looking for the 7K running backs. But obviously, McCaffrey.
This is the best spot for a running back in all of football.
Yeah. So, I mean, and he's the best. So
I think it's really tough fade. I'm just throwing out there.
Yeah. I'm probably I kind of lean Cardinals if I have to pick on this game, but I probably won't. I've been really riding the Niners bandwagon lately, and they're just a juggernaut, but feel like they have to have a sleepy game at some point. So, I mean, maybe you think last week was their sleepy game, but I don't know. I'm probably, if I have to choose a side, I'm going to take the Cardinals, but I don't really like this game from a betting perspective, and I may just hold my nose and just hope that the Niners find other ways to score, and that C-Mac only scores 25 instead of 40. But yeah, I mean, I'm fine with anything you want to play in this game from a Niners perspective because they're just a juggernaut right now. So feel free to do what you want.
Tony, I know you were pretty high on CMC last week. Are you just going to go right back to him this week? I mean,
first guy in my lineup, CMC for sure. Like number 1 spot in all of fantasy football and the number 1 running game in all of football. It's literally the peak of the mountain in the flow chart. The best running back versus the worst run defense. And I totally forgot as I'm saying that. I was looking at the last match. He dropped a 50 piece the last time they played. So he didn't score last week on top of it. No touchdowns. Man, I'm not fading McCaffrey this week. I will figure something out to get him in there. Because even if he does bad, I mean, I legitimately think outside of injury, I mean, it's a 25-point floor. And that's if he only scores once. So I'm playing him.
You're probably right.
I honestly agree with the rest of the takes, though. Like, I think it could be a somewhat sleepy spot. The prices on these receivers are high now. I don't think I'm going to play anything else. I'm just going to play McCaffrey and maybe the defense. I don't even like the defense that much, though, because it's in Arizona. They're priced up at 4,400. I think it's just McCaffrey for me and move on. I don't love anything else. And obviously they're going to score. I mean, Debo's been insane. Ayuk's been this team's just a juggernaut, like you guys said. So any of these guys are in play. Last week I made fun of the Debo play. I'm never doing that again. I'm playing McCaffrey this week, and if you want to play any of the other guys, go for it. They're all great plays.
Tony got the 37 piece, and he's like, I'm not doing this again.
Not. And the worst part is I love Debo, so I'm never making fun of a guy I like again. That's not happening anymore.
He just he is one of those receivers, though. He's going to have those just massive weeks where he goes for 37, but then he'll have weeks where he scores 10, 9, 8. Like, it's going to happen. It'll go back.
This team's just an absolute freaking juggernaut.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the big game of the week. I say big game of the week because, I mean, it's got to be. It's like, again, it's like the best game, I think, actual game you're going to watch. Probably a decent spot for fantasy as well on this slate, but from a game perspective, 50-point total, and you got a 2.5-point spread here. Bills and Cowboys in Buffalo. Bills are favored. I mean, the Bills, Tony, you gave them out as the 50-1. Or they 25-1 to win the AFC. Starting to look better, right? And if they can pull off this win here, it's going to look really good if they can somehow beat Dallas in Buffalo. So what do you got in this game?
Yeah, these are my two teams. It sucks that Buffalo's got to play Dallas right here because things are starting to look good. They even got the Miami loss that they weren't expecting to get. Everything's kind of fallen Buffalo's way. Oh man, I'm disappointed they got to play Dallas because Dallas just feels like they're a buzzsaw right now. I really struggle with this game, honestly. Like, I'm anxious to hear what you guys say because I love both these teams. The one thing I know for sure I'm going to be on is the over. I definitely am going to be on the over. I think we see points for sure. I think Josh Allen and Dak are the spend-ups at quarterback where they're just really good plays. Diggs is the one that's been terrible. I mean, terrible. CD Lamb's a buzzsaw. James Cook, that was one of my good takes last week. James Cook was a really good play, and I think he's a really good play again. But Dallas, the one thing I was surprised, updating all my numbers, they've been incredible against running backs. I didn't expect that. Like, when I was looking at my stuff, Dallas hasn't given up a top 10 running back since week 5, but they get beat up by receivers a little bit, just a little bit. Their D is really good. So by a little bit, I mean actually a little bit. But I don't know, man. I just think Dallas might be too good for them. I struggle to go against Dallas here. So I'm anxious to hear what you guys say, though, because these are two of my favorite teams, so I struggle with it.
ODB, what do you got?
Man, I wish I had a take in this game. The market just loves Buffalo. They loved them against the Eagles. They basically said this team that was 10-1 at the time that they were equal in the marketplace because the line was like 3 in Philly. We jumped on it. We said, "Yep, we believe in this Buffalo team." Then the market said that the Bills are better than the Chiefs. We leaned right into it. We took the Bills. Now they're saying the Bills are equal to the Cowboys with this line. 2.5? Like, is it even up to 3, I think, maybe? Is it 2.5 or 3?
2.5 right now, I see.
2.5? I mean,
2.5, yeah.
I don't know. I mean, on one side, I like this Buffalo team. I like what they're doing. And then the other side, and also, like, I mean, Dallas has looked really good, but those have all been home games. And I don't really know if I trust them to go up in that cold weather. But at the same time, like, I mean, what disrespect of this Cowboys team that it's 2.5. I mean, they're playing, it's the Niners and the Cowboys are 1A, 1B as far as like how they're playing right now. So yeah, I don't I don't know. I don't feel comfortable. I probably will take the Bills because I just like the Bills more and just in general than the Cowboys, but it's not a comfortable feeling. I don't love it from a fantasy perspective as much just because I don't know, the Bills just Buffalo at this time of year just seems to be, I don't know. They seem to be more lower scoring, and I don't know. I just can't find a play I love because Diggs is so stupid expensive. Cook's expensive. I mean, I like the tight ends. Both tight ends like can get work, but CD's 9,200. I don't know. I just have a tough time playing CD at 9,200 over Cup at in his environment in the mid sevens. It's just hard for me to find ways to get in these high priced guys. Pollard stinks. Then when you look at the secondary receivers on the Cowboys, to me, it's just kind of like 1 week it's Cooks, 1 week it's Gallup, 1 week it's Tolbert. I don't know. I just don't really feel comfortable with any of the guys. And then the Bills are the same way. It's like Gabe Davis goes off 1 week and then he puts up a 0 and then he has a good week and then he puts up a 0. And I don't know. I just don't feel comfortable with any of the plays. So like when I'm not comfortable with any of the plays, I usually just lay off of it. I guess that's just because the nature of the thing that I do versus what Tony does. You can lean into a lot of that variance though in the Millie Maker. Like Shakir has some big weeks every now and again, and Gabe has some big weeks every now and again. Cooks does too. Or you could just ride with the big boys if you can find some punts and play Diggs and Lamb. But I don't know. I like the other big boys in other games more. So, I mean, I would rather just spend up for McCaffrey or spend down a little bit for the Rams guys.
All right, Tony, Uncle T wants a lunch bet. He says, I'll take the Bills.
I left it up while he was on a roll. First of all, Uncle T, you're the Eagles fan. You love the Eagles. Where was all the Eagles smoke the last 2 weeks when both these teams shoved it right up the Eagles' ass, Uncle T? Uncle T's like, I still believe in the Eagles. The Eagles suck. But no, I'm not betting. Sure, I'll bet lunch. I get Dallas. I like both these teams, though.
Yeah, so I do think that in Buffalo, I'm gonna definitely go with the Bills here. I do think that Dak's home road splits too have been interesting. Definitely much better at home than on the road. You can see it by the splits. And I'm not saying the Cowboys are bad. They're obviously one of the best teams in football. They've played Philadelphia twice in the 49ers, right? They're 1-1, and then the 49ers smoke. Outside of that, they've played the worst of the worst teams. Like, I mean, it's bad. I'll just Seattle, Carolina, New York Giants, the Rams, the Chargers, New England, Arizona, the Jets, the Giants. I think this is a tough spot. I think this is a spot where the Bills, are close to equal with Dallas, and they're at home. I'm going to take the Bills here, 2.5. Give me the Bills. I'm a little more confident, I guess, than you guys are about the Bills, but I get why you're
a Cowboys
apprehensive.
Hater, you're not.
I'm not a Cowboys hater. I'm a Dak
hater.
Prescott when the lights get big enough and they shine bright. He shits his pants.
I mean, he was awesome in Philly in that game, and he was awesome last week versus Philly.
He's been great. No, he's been great this season.
Well, the lights weren't bright?
He's been great this season. I'm talking about the playoffs mainly. But
yeah, I mean, that's going to be the problem with him forever until he does it in the playoffs. It's always going to come back to that.
Yeah, 100%. Listen, both these teams, I can say that the Bills have looked decent, but really haven't looked that great and still found ways to win games. And Josh Allen and his best receiver have been off for the last few weeks, and they've figured out stuff. So what if, that is the key, I think, for the Bills. They need to get on the same page because I don't know what's going on with them, but they're right now, it's not as good of a connection as it normally is the past few weeks. So I think that's the key. If they come out early,
the more the chat's going and you're going, the more I like the Cowboys.
I knew you would. Yeah, I knew it. See, this is what happens, chat. Tony needs to go against me one time. So as I start pumping up one team, he goes the opposite way. That's okay. He
I mean, no,
loves
it's Uncle T.
Dak.
Too. They beat one team with the winning record. The Rams don't have a winning record.
The Rams, come on. Really?
I mean,
the
they beat them
Rams?
43-20.
The Rams, though, Tony. The
got-
Rams are the
good
best.
team.
I like the Rams are the best team for the
Cowboys
Cowboys to
pound
face.
teams. They take
The
teams
Ra-
to pound town.
Do you understand? I told you they were going to pound this team because Matthew Stafford can't move. And when
That
you
was
have
a different
good,
Ram. That Rams team was. That was.
I'm
a
telling
different
you right
Rams
now,
team.
the Rams are just a bad matchup for the Cowboys. The Cowboys kill them every time they play. It's a terrible matchup
Cowboys
for
pound
Stafford.
everybody.
What
They got
about-
big cocks?
Are we concerned a little
They
bit
didn't
that
pound
like
Arizona. Didn't pound Arizona.
One game they didn't show up on the road.
what about the fact that Dallas just played
Got
Jalen
him.
Hurts? What about the fact that Dallas just played Jalen Hurts and Josh wins in similar manners that Jalen wins? It's similar, it's different when you're facing drop back quarterbacks, but like they literally just played a version of Josh Allen. And so I think that's kind of a help for the defense in that regard. Just spitballing. I don't really
the most
know.
impressive thing for the Cowboys for me has been McCarthy. And I've been a McCarthy critic for his entire life. He's been good. He's aggressive. They stopped running the ball so much. They just shove it down people's throats dry. And Buffalo's the opposite. Buffalo tried to blow that. Believe me, I root for Buffalo like everybody with these bets. Buffalo tried to lose that game like 9 times last week. Like I think McCarthy's got a significant advantage.
I'm telling you, though, I think the biggest key is going to be him and Diggs. Because that's the only thing I see
And they've
that's
been
just
fighting
right
since
now.
I was at the Bengals game. They were fighting on the sideline.
They've been off.
They haven't been
Yeah.
together since.
They've been off. That's the only thing that worries me, though. I mean, yeah. Look at his home road splits, though. I'm telling you, they're pretty drastic. Tony,
If you like,
look at who they play.
if you like the over Big T, I think Diggs is going to slip through the cracks this week. Like as far as ownership wise, there's just a lot of spend ups and a lot of things in his area, and everybody's seeing that they're struggling. So if you do like this environment, I think you can probably Diggs is probably going to be a nice zigzag. I don't know. I mean, I'm not ownership bro or anything. I'm just
I mean, you got to be right. I mean, just looking at the numbers.
I want it to be Diggs so bad. Like
I've wanted it to be Diggs every week because I keep playing Josh Allen.
Yeah,
I want it to be Diggs. So I didn't play much Diggs last week, but it was just like and I played a ton of Josh Allen. Pretty much like all my teams were Josh Allen. It did not work out the way I wanted to, but man, I don't know how I don't go back to him. I played him last week. I got to stay on him because I do agree with you from that point that this is a good spot for one of these quarterbacks. I think it's Josh Allen over Dak. I think you think they're closer. And I'm going to go Josh Allen again. He's got to come through for me here before I jump off. So, all right, that's that. Tony's laughing at me. He's all on Dallas. I'm on Buffalo. ODBs.
Dak is a freight train right now, man. He's good. I like Josh Allen too. Obviously, I like both those guys. But
this is why you got to listen to the show and stay on. I mean, we gave you Buffalo last week, 50-1 to win the Super Bowl, 22 to win, 1 to win the AFC. Gave you the Seahawks to miss the playoffs at plus 300.
That Seahawks one was the best bet of the year.
I mean,
that thing was so good.
You find so some of these things like the markets are real efficient in a lot of things, but like looking ahead and projecting out, sometimes they're not as efficient. Like they're just kind of a lot of snapshots of what today looks like, and they don't really look at the schedule out. So, I mean, they have a lot of things to keep in mind. So.
He's another guy. I hope it's a big week for him as well. Give us a CD week. Well, I'll be fine. I won't be mad.
If you take away, because everything changed for Dallas, the San Francisco game, they got their ass absolutely slaughtered. And if you look at the games before that, they were run-based. McCarthy was very conservative. I mean, Dak in those 5 games, 6, 19, 15, 14, and 7, his first 5 weeks. And that was when I kind of said, now's the time to buy CD a little bit. And since that game, they have freaking pounded everybody through the air, and it just switched that game. So, I mean, CeeDee Lamb is the best – for me, is the best receiver in football. So, with all things considered right now, I don't think he's like more talented maybe than Jefferson and Chase and these guys, but as far as the system, and he's just so freaking good.
The thing is, we've talked about a lot of good plays, and there's a lot of expensive 7K up running backs and receivers that are good. So you're just going to have to make some stands on, like, you think these guys are better than this guy. You can't play CeeDee Lamb and Josh Allen and Christian McCaffrey and Cup and, whatever. That's why, if you want to go a strategy like, Prez talked about and these other guys, JSU and Big T talked about, putting the Packers as your guys and then front loading some of these stars, you can do that. Yeah. But whatever. I mean, you're gonna have to fade some really good guys in really good matchups. You're just gonna have to fade them. So, like, if you're playing smaller contests, pick the guys that you think are the best. If you're playing bigger contests and it's a toss-up, make sure you use the RPS info and look at ownership projections and things like that, because at the end of the day, whether it's Diggs or Cup or McCaffrey or Barkley or whatever that ends up with it, we're running 60-40s, 55-45s, on which ones end up. If you can get a big leverage spot, you got to lean into that.
Yep, for sure. Uncle T wanted me to let you know that you need to change your undies after talking about the Cowboys. You gotta fix them before
I do love the Cowboys, I'll admit it.
You love the Cowboys.
I love them. I loved them last year. I love them even more now that they throw the ball every down. I freaking love them now. I do like them more at home, though, obviously. That home field's huge for them.
Definitely. Home field advantage would be huge for someone like the Cowboys. That would probably make a difference. I just don't. Healthy San Francisco team just trumps them all, I think.
And I know I lost last year in the playoff. It's still the way you beat San Fran. I feel like I know San Fran as good as anyone. The way you beat them is Dallas's strength, though. I'll continue to. And that doesn't mean they won't. San Fran's unbelievable. I'm not saying it's going to. I'm just saying that's how you do beat them, though, with talent. Scrub teams aren't going to beat San Francisco. You need talent.
Dallas' problem against San Francisco will be they have so many one hit, one miss, and you're gone type players. And the way Dallas plays defense, you miss a tackle and dude's going to the house, right? You can't make mistakes against those 49ers guys because those skill position guys are just so friggin' good. And Dallas is aggressive, and it's almost to their detriment at times when they play teams like San Francisco. That's like the one thing. But you're right. It's the way you beat them is the way Dallas is trying to play offensively. That is the way you stay in the game. Look at who was the team that just stayed with them? Was it Seattle who had some success? And it was being aggressive, right? Hitting them downfield, being aggressive.
And through the passing game. You got to be aggressive through the passing game.
I'm going to go be aggressive at some cards, boys.
All right, well.
Be aggressive.
Guys, don't forget, be aggressive. Use the code Giblets44. Get in there for 44%.
They played both the last 2 years in the playoffs. And Dallas, the snap play with Dak 2 years ago at home, Dallas had them beat, but they didn't get that snap off to kick the field goal, and then they got whooped up last year. But they played the last 2 years in the playoffs.
We'll get them again. We'll see it. We'll see it soon. Lot's going to change. The NFL's fucking 3 weeks ago.
Away too.
Whatever. 3 weeks ago, the Bengals just kicked the shit out of them, and then now they're the best team in the history of football. I mean, football changes. We're 5 weeks, 6 weeks. What we think we know today isn't going to necessarily happen in 5-6 weeks. So
what's that? COUM. What's that mean?
Column.
Huh?
Column.
Column.
Say column.
3 column. What's 3 column? Oh, the thing I showed on the screen. I don't know. We give the whole thing away because I got a lot of stuff in there, but maybe I don't know. Should I?
No, keep a little for yourself there, buddy.
I got a lot of data in that puppy.
He gives you all the plays. You
I give
guys,
the cheat sheet of it.
let's go.
Yeah, I mean
All right,
that's
I
what,
gotta go,
that's what the
boys.
flow chart is
Thanks,
the cheat
ODB.
sheet anyway. So
I'm out.
if you guys want to
Peace.
sign up, use the code Giblets44. Get over to Run Pure Sports, sign up, and
I got no
you can
problem
check
helping
out
some
all the
people
cheat
out with it
sheets.
too. Like I got no
Yeah.
problem sharing it with some people. I don't know if I'm going to put it on the side. There's too much. Honestly, I've put more work into this thing than I've ever put into anything in my life. Like lots of hours. I don't just want to fully give it away to the world. I'll give the cheat sheet version of it though, because I do feel like it's given me a pretty big edge in my bets for one, because I bet I've hit 75-80% of my NFL bets just based on clear matchups from the flow chart. Because I can see now how teams attack other teams. Not that we couldn't before. Like sometimes you can see it, but when it's just a clear spot, like how many weeks ago do we know Philly, you're just going to own them through the air? And not that other people didn't know that, but I think we figured it out as quick as anybody, and we've really attacked that spot since then. So,
Yeah, people are just figuring it out now, whereas we knew it weeks and weeks ago that it was the spot to throw against. So, yep. Again, if you want more,
no problem showing it to you and stuff. I'm not going to like show the link, but I can show you some screen stuff and I'll help out for sure.
There you go. Yeah, if you have any other questions too, you can hit them up in Discord. You know, we're in the Discord. You can always ask questions in there. So Discord, one of the most important things when you sign up, you should want to get in the Discord. So use that code Giblets44, get your 44% off your first month or weekly payment, and get over to the Discord and hang out with us. Ask us some questions. We got to go though. We got NBA in an hour. So I got to get out of here. Going to be on the Up to Lock show with Rubio Dimes and Holden. We'll take you guys up to lock for NBA hoops in this 9-game slate. So hope to see you guys then. That's going to do it for Big T. I'm JSU. Thanks to ODB for hanging out with us. We'll catch you guys tomorrow, 3 p.m., I think, for the Showdown show. We're up.